Because the night belongs to lovers. Because the night belongs to us.
Hey, it's Nate with another piano tutorial. Today we're doing Because the Night by Patti Smith. This song is a total classic based around a really fun piano part. The chords are pretty easy, though the rhythm can be a little bit tricky, but I'll talk you through exactly how it all works. Let's jump in. All right, so first off, I recommend you get the chords and lyrics chart. There's a link down in the description. That'll help you follow along and see where the chords line up with the words you sing. This song is more or less in the key of D major, so Fs and Cs are sharped, and then this is middle C here for reference. We're gonna jump in with the intro. That's the part with that really sort of haunting, beautiful piano part. Let's look at the left hand first, and here is the underlying chords here. Now, with the left hand, we're just gonna do fifths, so the outside notes of the chord rather than the full triad. So for the B minor, we're gonna do B and F sharp here. I'm just gonna use my pinky and thumb for all of these, I think. For G, it's gonna be G and D. Then same shape for A, it's gonna be A and an E on top. And that's all the chords in this section. And we're in 4/4 time, so that means that each one of these measures gets 4 counts. We're kind of feeling it like 1, 2, 3, 4. So kind of a fast pace. And right off the bat, let's think in eighth notes. So we're dividing that beat in half, not just counting 1, 2, 3, 4, but really feeling 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And the rhythm here, so each one of these measures has 2 chords in it, so it's sort of split in half. But it doesn't split evenly in half. It kind of goes to the second chord in each measure, an eighth note early. So like this, 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Might help if you count all the ands. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And then that right hand melody is just going to be playing on every single eighth note. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So I'm going to start with my second finger here on C sharp, and I'm going to do C sharp, D, B, D. So those 4 notes repeat 3 times in total, exactly like that. 1 and 2 and it just loops around 3 and 4 and again 1 and 2 and. Now the fourth repetition is a little different. It still starts on the C sharp, and then we got, so just C sharp, D, E, D. So again, so far, and it sounds really nice with the sustain pedal too. It's gonna be 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then this whole thing repeats around again. This time there's one note different. It's gonna sound like this. So second time around, you don't go to the E there, you go to the F sharp. And then we can put those hands together. So just notice the way they connect when the left hand goes to the next chord, that anticipatory eighth note feel there. 1 and 2 and 3. So it connects on the D. And then the verse starts. And I mentioned the sustain pedal. Once you get the left hand in here, we're gonna need to just do a little lift every time the chord changes. 1, 2, lift, 3, 4, lift, lift. Just so it doesn't get too muddy. And if you need help with pedal lift timing, I made a video all about that. So here's the deal. The piano accompaniment for the verses is the same thing we just learned for the intro. I find it really hard to sing and play that at the same time. Take me now, baby, here. Yeah, it just messes me up. So I'm going to simplify the part for whenever I'm singing. Now, if you can do it, or if you are playing keys in a band and someone else is going to be singing, you can just keep doing that pattern we already learned. There is some variation throughout the different verses of the song. So you could keep it loose. I don't think it's worth mapping it out exactly, but sometimes you can throw in just a high octave B instead of one of the other notes. And sometimes they just do something different entirely. I think as long as you're doing eighth notes on generally these notes, it's going to sound cool. So you could play around with it. But when I start singing, I'm just going to play triads in the right hand. So we're going to be playing what we already learned for the left hand, but we're filling in the middle note. For the B minor, it's B, D, and F sharp. For the G, it's G, B, and D. And then for the A, it's A, C sharp, and E.
Take me now, baby, here as I am. Pull me close, try and understand. Desire is hunger, is the fire I breathe. Love is a banquet on which we feed.
So now we're in the pre-chorus. Here's the underlying chord progression for the pre-chorus. We're gonna take things down here, gonna get a little bit lower. This is where the band kind of kicks in on the recording, so we want that power. So for the G, we're gonna be doing it just like we were doing it an octave higher a second ago, but throughout this section, I'm just gonna do single bass notes in the left hand rather than the fifths. So I'm gonna do that G single bass note with my pinky here. And then we've got an A, same way we were doing it before, but just fourth finger on the A bass note. For the D chord, we can come up here to our thumb for the bass note. Notice we're gonna keep our thumb on this A and we're doing an inversion on a D like that. So it's a really smooth transition here. So we got A, middle finger on D, and then your pinky can play that F sharp. We've also got a B minor here, just like we were doing it before, but lower. And then G major 7. So this is actually really easy to get into from here because all it is basically the notes from the B minor, but you need the G bass note. So nice kind of jazzy sounding chord there. Let's just stick with the first two lines for a second. So rhythmically, there's kind of a lot going on here, and I think it's really gonna help to notice where the hits line up with the words. But the counting on this is gonna be like this. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it kind of repeats that rhythm around a whole bunch of times. So let me just play through the first two lines of this. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then with the words, just notice it really hits on some of the words that get stressed rhythmically. So, come on now, try and understand the way I feel when I'm in your hand. Take my hand, come undercover. One other thing I want to say is, if it's sounding too disjointed to you, you could totally just do like just a quarter note feel, like come on now, try and understand. I think that could be cool for a piano cover. I'm gonna do it with the rhythmic feel that the piano plays on the recording, but on the recording there's also drums and guitar filling in some of the steady rhythm and making it feel less disjointed. So something to think about as you piece together your version. Now the last line of this pre-chorus is where it's really kind of building anticipation for the chorus. This is what it sounds like.
They can't hurt you now, can't hurt you now, can't hurt you now, because...
Okay, so we've got a C major chord here. We're gonna do the chords in the left hand so we can do that cool melody in the right. So C is gonna be C, E, and G there. And we're just gonna hold the left hand out for the whole measure here. Then stepping down to B minor as we've been doing it. And then for this F sharp, we're gonna come down here and just do fifths here. And it's gonna be F sharp and C sharp. And once we get there, I'm just gonna pulse on eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And then for the right hand, we have these octave notes. It's kind of doing this little melody. Now, if you can't stretch an octave, you can use the same notes and just, I would do maybe the higher octave and just use single fingers. But the notes are G, F sharp, E. That's what you play while the C chord's happening. And the timing there is like 1, 2, and 3, 4. Now for the B minor, you don't hit anything in the right hand on beat 1. You can just keep holding that E. 1, 2, and 3, 4. So on and 3, 4, you do D, E. And then once you get to this F sharp, That's the now. The right hand is also going to go back and forth between the F sharp and the G. Really builds tension. And again, you could just do the single notes if it's easier. And then we're in the chorus. Okay, so here are the underlying chords for the chorus. A lot of chords we've already used. A couple of things are going to be different here. One, for all the G's, rather than do them down here in root position, G, B, D, we're going to have them inverted. One, so B, D, and G here. And that flows really smoothly from the B minor, because you can keep your thumb where it is, and then you can keep your third finger on D, or sometimes I like to use my second finger there. The other difference here is to get some more power, I'm going to be using octaves in the left hand. So if that's too much of a stretch for you, you could still do single bass notes. You might want to go down the octave to get more power. And those little slashes after the A is to show that even though this measure has a G and an A in it, it's not evenly split. G is just for the first count, and then A is for the second 3 counts. More or less, let's get into the real specifics of the rhythm here. So we're gonna have 1 and 2 and 3. That's gonna line up with because the night. Let's keep going. So after 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3 and. So we got and 1 still on the G. On beat 2 we go to the A, 3 and then just hold the A there. With the words we've got because the night belongs to lovers. If you want to just leave out that last hit and just belongs to lovers, I think that works just as well. Second half is really similar. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3. So that time it definitely doesn't do the hit after beat 3 there, and we do step up to the B minor. Notice the B minor is for the second half of that measure, so that measure is going to be like 1, 2, 3, and then hold the B minor for the last beat. Gonna count through it one more time and then sing through it one more time, and then I think we will be good to go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4. Because the night belongs to lovers. Because the night belongs to lovers. And it goes around again. Because the night belongs to lovers. Because the night belongs to us. Then we are in another verse. For this verse, yet again, I am not going to do that melody, but now that the song's kicked in a little bit more, I'm going to probably do the left hand fifths an octave lower, still do the high right hand. So, have I a doubt when I'm alone? Love is a ring on the telephone, and so on. Then after that, we've got another pre-chorus, just like the first pre-chorus, and then another chorus, just like the first chorus. Then we go into the guitar solo section. Now, the piano part is active and interesting enough that I don't think you need to try to do the guitar solo melody with the right hand or anything. I'm just going to play the chord progression, and the solo chord progression is basically the same as the pre-chorus. It ends a little differently though. Here's the chords for that. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And so when it gets to these G's, just root position G, and I'm just gonna kind of hit on every eighth note, building energy going into the bridge. For this whole section, if you want to give it more power, you could totally do octaves. Probably going to stick with single bass notes though. So now we are in the bridge. So here's the underlying chord progression for the bridge, and it's all chords that we've been doing so far, but right off the bat the right hand's going to be up an octave higher than we've been doing for like the pre-chorus and the chorus. And it's a lot of these measures with 2 chords in them, and it's going to be pretty much the same rhythm over and over again. Here's the 2 measure counting pattern for it. So it's going to be 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4. So that's the first two measures. Notice though, on the and after 4 in the first measure, that is where we go back to the D. So we're actually on to the D from the next measure a little before that next measure starts. So one more time, just really pay attention to which counts the chord changes on. So 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and now same exact thing, but with the next couple measures of chords. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4. And then the same thing again, kind of start the pattern over on B minor. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1. So this is a full measure of D. So you start with the and 1, you're going to anticipate the measure, and 1 when you get to that. But then the piano in the recording, I think, just holds out for the whole measure, but without drums and everything happening, it sounds a little empty to do that. So for the few measures in this section that are a full measure of one chord, I'm probably just going to do a little extra eighth note pulsing. Let me play and sing through what we have so far. With love we sleep, with doubt the vicious circle turns and burns. Without you I cannot live. Forgive the yearning, burning, I believe it's time. So after that measure of D, we kind of go back to that same rhythm we were doing, and I did anticipate the G by an eighth note. So after the measure of D, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and G to D to G, and this is a full measure of G. So you're going to do that same pulsing thing there. And just like the other sections, these rhythms become easier if, rather than just counting them, you really notice what words or syllables you're hanging them on. With love we sleep, with doubt the vicious circle turns and burns, and so on. After that full measure of G at the end of the second line, we get to this cool section here that sounds like, so touch me now, touch me now, touch me now. And that's going to be going into the final chorus. So for this B minor and then the D, we're just going to hold the right hand chords, and we're doing the same inversions we've been doing. We do have this cool melody in the left hand that goes. So that's, I'm doing octaves here again. Again, you could just do single bass notes, but B, C sharp, D, that's what happens on the B minor. And then when you go to the D, D, E, F sharp. Timing there is 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4. And then once you get to this G here, we're going to do same G we've been doing octaves here. And we're just going to, again, pulse eighth notes to build anticipation. And so 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and you can just take every single note you're playing and just move it down a half step for this F sharp major chord. And we're going to do F sharp, A sharp, or it probably says B flat. I don't have total control over it. And C sharp here. Cool. You pretty much know everything you need to know now. We're in another chorus now. This is the final chorus, and it is a double chorus, or at least a double chorus, because it actually starts to go around a third time, but the song fades out. Since it's hard to do a fade out solo piano, I'm just going to do 2 times through. The first chorus, or the first time through this last chorus, is going to be just like the other ones. And then for the final time through, I'm just going to bring the right hand up an octave higher. The piano does that on the recording, and it's a nice touch. Because tonight there are 2 lovers. If we believe in the night we trust. Because the night belongs to lovers. Because the night belongs to us. I'm probably just going to end it right there and just let that final B minor hang out. I'm just going to pull back a little bit though, so it's a little quieter than everything else, just to kind of signal that the song is over. All right, thank you for sticking with me we did a lot there. So I'm going to play it all the way through now so you can see how it all fits together in a full cover. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Also subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Hit the bell so you know when I put out more tutorials like this. Have a poke around. You might find some other songs that you like. And feel free to leave a request in the comments. Okay, here's my version of Because the Night.
Take me now, baby, here as I am. Pull me close, try and understand. Desire is hunger, is the fire I breathe. Love is a banquet on which we feed. Come on now, try and understand the way I feel when I'm in your hand. Take my hand, come undercover. They can't hurt you now, can't hurt you now, can't hurt you now. Because the night belongs to lovers. Because the night belongs to lust. Because the night belongs to lovers. Because the night belongs to us. Have I a doubt when I'm alone? Love is a ring on the telephone. Love is an angel disguised as lust. Here in our bed until the morning comes. Come on now, try and understand the way I feel under your command. Take my hand as the sun descends. They can't touch you now, can't touch you